Hey, it's David with No Chaser, and today I'm going to talk about the phenomenon of drinking and using dreams. Now, I'll start out with this to give you a little bit of my point of view about dreams in general. Because there's not really a full consensus on the relevance or significance of dreams in our life. Some people put a lot more credence into them as, they are messages, maybe sent to us through our subconscious, things that we've picked up that have like a real connection to our actual lives. Some people think that they're just, firings of stimuli from our brain while we're sleeping to keep our brain active in some sort of way. And they're all meaningless and that we just pick out meaning in some of them and completely make it up. Some people think it's a little bit of both. For me, I don't put a lot of stock of dreams as in trying to actually translate them to like your life in a sense, but I'm not saying I'm right about it either. In some like really granular sense, like there is meaning to them just because a lot of dreams can be picked up on what we experience just in our life. And even if it's just kind of random replayings of certain things, yeah, honestly, too, if you can extract some meaning that has positive benefit to your life, go for it. Like I said, I'm not even saying this in a condescending way. I don't know. But there is one thing, regardless about what you believe about dreams, is that when it comes to addicts and alcoholics in recovery, dreams, whether you believe in their function as something that has deep meaning and relevance, or you think it's just the random firings, there is still meaning to their, like, how they play out when it comes to drinking and using dreams to someone trying to get sober. Now, the one thing is you're uninitiated with alcoholics and addicts and the connection to dreams is that for me, like with drug use and drinking, the thing was that I never had dreams while I was drinking and using. Like a lot of my stuff was just passing out, and I was not getting any real REM sleep. And believe me, that I would, after like drinking daily almost for like years, I'd almost start to just go crazy, not just from the lack of sleep, but the quality of sleep, which is to say none. And so I don't like if I even had dreams, it could have just been like the night before. Like I don't remember any of it. And my brain was not in any sort of quality state to where any dreams I produced. You kind of forget them in the morning pretty quickly anyways. And this is with a person where I'm forgetting reality quickly anyways. So I don't know. I never had any, but I remember the first couple of times I got sober with like actual timeout just from like detox and stuff is that, man, I started getting real sleep and it started getting real weird because I started having dreams for the first time in ever. And man, they were intense. And, it's just like I felt they were of just a completely different aspect than what my dreams were before. And I'd been drinking and using at such an early age that I don't even really recall what dreams were like before. But like being sober and like having like somewhat normal sleep and, having somewhat normal dreams, normal in the sense of my capacity to dream, it was just something to deal with altogether. And a common phenomenon, I don't know if that's actually kind of a contrarian statement, common phenomenon. Anyways, something that people that get into recovery experience a lot is the drinking and using dream. Now, this can manifest in a lot of different ways. So, some people have dreams where they felt like they've already used or they've already drank, and now they're dealing with the guilt and shame, or like ones that I have personally. A lot of it is me in this kind of like, again, dreamlike sort of scenario where I'm like trying to get to a room or a place to drink. Like the way I'd sneak drinking before at a family event or around significant other, I'm just like on this quest. I'm like always just about to drink. I've had a lot of those recently, and it's just like, it's never actually being drunk or anything or getting to that point. But right when I get close to it, I wake up. Now, I've had these before in the past, and a lot of people have these too, where they do get drunk and high in their dreams. In fact, there's sometimes it can be so realistic in the way that some dreams can be that even the effects that the high or the drunkenness would produce can be felt. Like it can honestly be like some people wake up and they think they've relapsed because they feel the effects of being drunk or high or even remnants of it. Like I remember there was times where I'd have that and I would be so kind of shaken mentally because even again, in not just in the dream, but waking up kind of in those like first not real crisp moments where it's just you've just broken into reality, but there's just like the effects of your dream still on you. I felt like even sort of like the physical motor skills of drunk and just kind of that wooziness that you have in your head of drinking. Like I felt that being conscious and awake. It would wear off pretty quickly, but it would just be so like alarming and stark. It'd just be like, whoa. And in that same way where you have a very intense dream where like it occurs in your mind and you experience it. And if you've ever had a really goofy dream where you kind of wake up and you're not quite sure what's real, you're like, if it was like a scary one, you could still have adrenaline running and you could be still scared about whatever the thing was in your dream, whether it was like a serial killer in an alley or like crab people or whatever your dream produced, you could still feel that. And that certainly happens, with drinking and using. When you have dreams that occur around that, you can feel those feelings in consciousness, not throughout like the whole day or anything, but in consciousness. And when you wake up, you can feel that. And the reason why I bring up that in particular is that, like I said, regardless about what you believe of dreams use in the world, like in general, for someone in recovery, drinking and using dreams, there can be some use health for it because, there was times I would have one where I had thought that I had gotten drunk the night before and I woke up and again, not quite fully inoculated into reality just yet, just still kind of waking up. I would just be like, oh my God, I relapsed. And I would just have the mindset of just like, oh, I threw all this stuff away and this incredible amount of guilt and shame would be brought on. And I'd just be like, sometimes I'd be like, dude, I got to go. I just got to take off. I've ruined my life. I've relapsed. Just, screw it. I'm going to take off and I'm so stupid. And I'd have all these feelings. And the reason why I say it was useful is because it actually gave me a preview of what it would be like if I did relapse. It was actually like, hey, do you want a little peek into what it would be like if you relapse? This is kind of how you'd react because you just went through a scenario where you thought you did it. I mean, you kind of get like, you get the experience without actually having to pay the debt, so to speak, because you truly feel it. And in that moment where you haven't quite realized that it's not quite true, you're experiencing a little bit of what your mind would go through. Now, this is not to say that, a dream like this is just going to completely scare you straight. But I mean, if you really reflect on it and kind of analyze what you were going through when you thought you had done it, there's something to gain from that. There's also just having the feelings of that you felt like you got drunk or high before. It can kind of remind you of the murkiness of your mind of what just like that's what it's really like. Because you spend, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Sometimes it's like that with drugs and alcohol because you just kind of like you only think about good times, and you think about good feelings and not the rest of the baggage that comes with it. So when you have a dream that kind of plays it out and you react to it as is, they can remind you like, oh no, it won't just be like a good buzz or something. I've been in recovery. I've done too much in my life that all this guilt and all this other stuff is going to crop up if I use or drink. And I mean, like I said, go back to like, regardless of what you think about how dreams play out in the real world and their connection to our reality and messages being sent, I mean, you just take what you can get from it, regardless of what you believe about their actual purpose in our life. The one thing I think most people can agree upon is that a lot of dreams can produce an experience that feels like reality. They can produce an experience that gives you actual sort of emotions and thoughts and feelings and all that type of stuff. So if there's some way you can benefit from having those experiences, why not? And so in other sort of questions diagnostically about dreams, like I'm not going to tell you what the experience is exactly like because like it differs for so many people, and it's even differed in my own life. I remember I had been sober for like 3 weeks and it was just like night after night after night of dreams. And then there was another time period where I was sober, like in the first 3 months, I didn't have any. I had dreams, but I didn't have any about drinking and using. Any rhyme or reason? Were things different before, those two like stints of sobriety? Not really. Like it, who knows how it manifests in your mind? Just in the same way dreams are unpredictable, your patterns of dreams will also be unpredictable. But, I hope for anyone out there that has like really intense and shame-inducing dreams, I hope you don't believe that this is what your life's going to be for like years. You're still somehow going to be in this prison of addiction just because your dream world will have it. I mean, maybe there's some outlier that like Vice has done a documentary about where that's occurred, but I highly doubt it. Like I said, it can be truly stressful. I remember, especially when I was having a bunch of dreams just occurring, it would be a bad way to wake up in the morning because even though there would be some sense of relief of like, oh no, that actually didn't happen, it's just stressful. And, like I've even had the counterintuitive thought of like being so stressed out from a dream about drinking that I really wanted to drink. Even though the stress came from like all the negative feelings that came from doing so, it just, a lot of stuff in alcoholism addiction, our mind doesn't make sense as far as like desires to drink and use and when they come up. But like I said, I myself, I don't put a lot of stock into how dreams either predict reality or how they display what your reality could be or what happens in real life or just subconscious messages. I don't know about that type of stuff. But even though I have that outlook, which I'm not saying is right or wrong, but even though I have that outlook, I can still see the importance of drinking and using dreams in extracting some sort of meaning or some sort of motivation or what have you from that experience of what it felt like when I thought I had drank or when I thought I was drunk or when I thought I was high and when I thought I had gone back to this life where I was going to disappoint so many people again and destroy these relationships. Just getting a little preview of it, not always a bad thing. It can reinforce the reason why, even in those really tough, moments, why you're staying sober and why you're staying clean. So anyway, that's just a little spiel about that. I mean, there's plenty more conversations to be had about, how to deal with them, which actually don't know. I don't know how you can dictate your own dreams. There's some like lucid dreaming stuff people do. I don't know. Anyways, like, subscribe, and do all the things with the social media stuff. Maybe one day I will say this with like some sort of seriousness. I don't know why though. It's your life. Watch the videos you want. I hope some of mine are. Other than that, be well.